Such beautiful art. Purple. And that little cable over there, that's just a little... It's screwed to the paint so nicely. Cat, 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 cat again. I'll tell you what's going on here. Hey guys, listen up. It's Wednesday, a week and a half until the second round of the Polish Drifting Championships in Bemowo in Warsaw. Stop, 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 stop. Cut, cut. Listen, before we go further with the material, I want to explain a few things to you and ask you about a few things. The first thing is, let me know in the comments if videos of this length work for you and if you even manage to watch a 50-minute video, because I'm really curious about it. As you can see, I only started on YouTube 3 months ago, and I'm checking my audience, seeing what they like and what they don't. But above all, I also want to show interesting content. There's quite a lot of it. And like I said, I want to see if you're able to watch such long videos. The second thing is that at the very end of the video, I explain why I bought the Nissan, why I traded it for a BMW, and why it's really in the condition it's in, and also why I didn't check it. Without further ado, let's get to the content. The car is currently being prepared and heavily modified by Crankshaft from side-to-side garage. And that's exactly where I'm heading now. Because I need to help him work on the Nissan since there's so much to do, I'm going there for a few days, so you'll soon see what we'll be working on, what we'll be doing, what we'll be changing, what we'll be fixing. So I'm heading over to him. It's 400 kilometers away. See you there. All right, I couldn't resist. I stopped at Kentucky Fried Chicken on the way. And as usual, the same old thing. Grander with mayonnaise sauce. French fries. And coleslaw. Let me know what you usually order at Kentucky Fried Chicken. We dropped by Forest, the Hample Company. On the way, we were driving, and I realized that I passed by them. And at my place, we need to check mainly why the control arms go onto 3 pry bars in the front. And honestly, that could also be one of the reasons why the steering wheel gets stuck at full lock. Forrest told me that here in the workshop, there's such a beautiful piece. Now we'll measure the original sockets, the dimensions between these holes, and we'll see how that compares to my measurements, which are on the car, so we're following the trail. Forrest suggested measuring the diagonals here. Forrest, if you can, measure from the frame rail to the bolt. The front control arm mount measures 108 centimeters, and on the other side it's the same because we just measured it a moment ago. The distance between these bolts is about 23 centimeters. That's how we measured it. Between the beginning and the middle of the bolt, we have 23 centimeters. So, are we going to my place to see what my car has and how it compares to these measurements? All right, it's measured. Let's keep going. Straight to Crankshaft's place. So yo, we've arrived at the workshop, side to side with Crankshaft. Wave your hand. The nasty Nissan is here. Ready. And we're going to get to work. Right now, Crankshaft was inspecting the bearings. Oh. This is what the lower ones look like. I don't know if you can see, they're a bit worn, but not enough to worry about or to replace them right now. We'll probably replace them after the BMW, but for now we have a lot of other things to do. Let's get to work. I'm under the car, and I checked the measurements. I checked at Humple's. It's about those diagonals from the frame rail. to the front bolt mounting the control arm. And here it's already off by 1.5 centimeters, it's closer, which is why we have to put our control arm in with a pry bar and not by hand. And the same goes for those distances. They're also a centimeter shorter, so unfortunately, these mounts are installed incorrectly as well. That's why there's so much tension when turning. And maybe that's also the reason why my steering wheel locks up. So there's a lot to do. The dashboard just came out. And there's always this fear of what we'll find under that dashboard. Whether there will be a mess of wires or not. Whether it'll be neatly arranged. And in my case, it looks like this. I have a power management unit that replaces fuses and relays. But I also have fuses and relays for the power management unit. Like on. Some noodles. There's a wire hanging there, and the best part is the second support. The bearing holding the steering column, check it out. There's a thin metal plate by the pedals. It's welded on. A wire, a rod, to which a mount is welded, I don't know what it's on, to the bearing that holds the column. On the other side, we have another structure. So yeah, it doesn't look great. Here we have the first bearing done nicely. The mount welded to the frame, just like it should be, so it's solid. This part is fine. So, that's how Nissan looks under the dashboard. And as for other highlights, there's the fire suppression system, which is routed incorrectly. The nozzle for the passenger's feet is here. And here, where it should be, there's nothing. And now I'll show you how the system for the driver's feet is routed. It's done. The same here. You could say it's not done well. And the second nozzle is here. And generally, there must be, according to the regulations, 2 nozzles directed at the driver's legs, placed parallel, just like our feet. One here, one there, and also on the engine. The nozzles are incorrectly placed, meaning there are only 2, one too few, because we have one on the intake manifold and the second on the exhaust manifold. Right here, but there should be one more coming from the front of the engine, which is directed at the front of the motor. So that's also something we'll have to modify to comply with the data management plan regulations. So what now? We're starting to mess with the wires. Now I'll weld the mount to the main ground, which goes from the engine to the body. I'm grabbing a 10mm bolt. To do it properly, I'll grind a piece of the frame, weld this bolt to the frame, and then attach the ground to the engine block, just to make sure the ground connection is good. All right. Now we'll also cover these wires and all the components here with a metal sheet so that the sparks from welding don't damage anything or cause anything to catch fire. It's okay, I'm a hull welder from the Gansk shipyard. This is what a ground cable looks like. It's a very thick welding cable. Here we have the terminals. We'll start crimping them in a moment. Or maybe not right now, because it's after midnight, so we'll get back to it tomorrow. We're going to get some sleep, eat something, and tomorrow we'll keep going with this project. Yo! Good morning. On another day, I welcome you to the beautiful land of Greater Poland. It's 7 o'clock. We're getting ourselves together and heading to the workshop. I'm starting with the crankshaft position sensor and the camshaft position sensor, because those have shielded cables that are picking up interference, and Grizeku Konopaki decided that we need to lay them down from scratch. The camshaft position sensor is installed at the front by the pump. Unfortunately, you must remove the tensioner and other parts to access it. The crankshaft is up by the cylinder head. Let's get to work. I need to find the crankshaft position sensor because my wiring has been modified and the connector is different, not original. And I want to do it properly, so I need to get the original crankshaft position sensor and automotive racing products lube. Because if we want to tighten the connecting rod caps to the correct torque, we need the right lube. Since the manufacturer recommends it, a specific torque is needed for tightening the bolts with the right lube. Because if we use a different lube or don't use any at all, we won't be able to loosen it. Or if we use oil, the torque will be completely different. So I'm sorting out these things, looking for someone on BlaBlaCar who's going from Gdansk to Wolsztyn and could just take these things from my garage. And Krzyku will check the clutch in a moment and we'll replace the clutch, which is provided to us by the company Adamat. He'll install a new set, and this one will be sent for refurbishment. So you can see it was pretty warm. So it's good that we're replacing it. Yeah, the discs might still be okay, but maybe the spacer, right? The spacer between the discs, because this is a 2-disc setup, it's burnt purple. So that's what the flywheel looks like, a massive construction, holes to lighten it a bit, and more holes to balance it, because it spins a bit, but it's not that heavy. Nice. Saved. Is the shaft there? Yes. Listen, Adamat even brought a centering shaft because we have 2 discs. And not only do we have to center it on the axis, but the teeth also have to match up with each other. And there are a lot of them, so there's no way around it. And greetings, because you saved us. And this is the second set, a new one. It looks the same at first. In the set, we have grease. Yes. Thanks. All right, let's crank up 2, shall we? Or not? We need to unscrew it to install it. Here we can see that there's still a bit of lining left. This clutch has already taken a real beating. I won't say what. We have a gap between the plates. The second plate. And the pressure plate. The Sachs pressure plate. Also Sachs 243. 341. We need to make up the difference. What? 2-3 spiakowo. Because we have speak. So listen, we have speak and cladding here. That's why there's a difference. So we can show what a speak disc looks like and what a regular cladding disc looks like. Oh. Wait, it goes like this. That's what she used to look like. All right. And if we don't tighten the pressure, the discs are different. First, we can align the 2 discs with each other and also find the axis, the center, on this little sun here. Thanks to that, we won't struggle with assembling the gearbox. It should just pop right in. Just like always, everything pops right in. All right, we talked with Adamat because we have a 5mm difference between the two clutches, because one of them has discs lined with friction material and the other has sintered discs. Krzysiek will explain what's happening, Adam's points, and what needs to be done.
The difference is that on the pressure plate, the diaphragm spring is simply present in our new clutch with sintered discs. It sits lower. From this perspective, you can see it, that the little sun is practically hiding. And in our old one, it sticks out.
It sticks out above the pressure housing.
But that's not a problem at all. Adam simply suggested to us that it's enough to rotate the release bearing in the gearbox by 90 degrees because it can be installed in 2 positions. And that will make a difference.
Let's show it right away. This is a release bearing that spins on the pressure plate.
It rests on the diaphragm spring's higher plane. And now, we'll put it on like this.
All right, let's get to work. So, the drive, the clutch. Then we keep working on electrics and sensors. And we're waiting for the guy from BlaBlaCar, because I arranged it, to bring us the crankshaft sensor and automotive racing products bolt grease from Gdansk. I'll tinker here with the EMU connectors. I'm just making bypasses. I'm running separately too. Right now I'm making cables, a harness for Mac, because Mac also had some short circuits. So we need to provide separate power and auxiliary signal. So we're pushing on. I've already routed the harness correctly from the EcuMaster plug. I went through the firewall. The firewall is secured and the hole is protected to prevent wire chafing. And now I'm going to start soldering, and then I'll have one device taken care of. Mac controls the vacuum for the wastegates, turbines, and so on. Basically, you can adjust the boost with black. This is a device we use to adjust the engine boost. And yesterday, we didn't finish making the main ground from the engine to the body. And we'll get to that in a moment, too. We have the ground cable and will install it soon. Yes, the ground cable is finished and the rest of the grounding is connected here. Now we just need to protect it from corrosion. There, the cable is also nicely screwed to the body. Another thing done. Krzysiek has already screwed on the flywheel too. It looks nice there, it's shiny. Insert the first disc, spacer, second disc, then pressure plate. 5 minutes and it's done. All right, Krzysiek, that's it. I'm putting in the disc, he's just putting in the shaft. The centering one. He put in the first disc, now he's cleaning the spacer. They're lubricating it with oil so it slides. Of course, just kidding. And we toss it in.
A few moments later.
Now I have to take it off. Gas pedal. When I take off the gas pedal, I'll have space for those 2 thick wires that go through and don't have insulation. This way, I can access them easily and we can secure the firewall passage. And we also need to check if that cable, especially the positive one, isn't broken and doesn't have a short. The pedal is removed. Here are the cables, and look what I found. Oh! And that cable is just a thick positive cable like that. No insulation. What's the point, right? Basically, someone did a poor job insulating it, and at the connections, the insulation cracks and splits. So the wires just start coming out of those cables. And the worst part is that this is a 12V power cable coming straight from the battery, which goes into the wiring harness here. So we'll fix as much as we can, just to at least get through these 2 or 3 rounds. And here, as I mentioned before, Grzeku Konopaki will do all the new wiring. Now look how nice this rubber grommet is all around. Nothing will happen to this cable. Nothing will happen. So, another thing taken care of. Let's keep going. Attention, here's another surprise. The ground wire from the fuses and relays. It's nicely screwed onto the paint, so that's just great. Nice. All right, now the hole is sanded. I'll just add a washer, because there wasn't a bigger washer here either, since the bolt has a narrow head. And it should work now. As you can see, the ground is done. Now I'm going to that jerk. The crankshaft sensor. Because, listen, it's in a really nice spot. Right there. Here's the screw from it. Not sure if you can see. I'll be honest, even I can barely see it. So we have to remove the tensioner just to even try to reach that screw and try to pull out this crankshaft sensor that's here, unfortunately, whose wiring has been modified. And this sensor is too important to risk connecting a new harness to this modification. So I'm waiting for a guy from BlaBlaCar who's bringing a new sensor from Gdansk. And in the meantime, I'll try to pull it out.
A few moments later.
All right, this is what the sensor looks like. Here is the screwed-on shield. To the block. You can see it's a bit damaged at the end. And here it's been modified. A modified block. Which shouldn't be. And I especially don't want a different block, because even if such a sensor fails during a competition and someone wanted to lend me one, unfortunately, I would also have to modify the wiring to connect it. And this is a shielded cable, so time is also of the essence. That's why, in my opinion, you need to have the most universal solutions possible, which will only speed up any replacement in combat conditions. So I'm waiting for BlaBlaCar, and then we'll get to it. And there's still the sensor harness left to replace. Not the crankshaft, but the camshaft. We'll get to it in a moment. Krzysiek just needs to finish working on the drive. The gearbox is already in. Maybe I'll show you. And we're also replacing the clutch slave cylinder right away, because the old one was already a bit worn out. We put in a new one and install it on the shaft. We put everything together and keep going with the job. And the time is... It's there. 3:20 post-meridium, and I have time. We have time until tomorrow, Friday, or 3 o'clock, since Krzysiek is going to some boats. Now we're going to play with shielded cables. We'll start with the camshaft sensor at the top, since we have it. That's what it looks like. Shielded cable. We have a metal shield all around, which eliminates interference on the signal wires. That's why it's very important to have a good quality cable for these basic sensors, like the crankshaft and camshaft sensors, to properly read the revolutions per minute and synchronize the entire engine correctly. A guy from BlaBlaCar arrived. I went to get those sensors. That's one already. I've already installed one sensor. Crankshaft sensor. Now we can install the tensioner. We're slowly compressing it now. We're tightening it for a moment. We'll wait a bit. And again, we're compressing it so the piston goes all the way in, and so we can insert the pin. A new Allen key. Vic, you can unscrew it. We screw in the tensioner, then we pull out the pin and it tightens the belt. All right, the shielded cables are routed. Also here, nicely through the grommet in the bulkhead, and I begin assembling. Tadeo! Electronic gas. Stand. Unfortunately, I won't have time to do anything with this anymore. Oh! But what? It's already 10 o'clock. Then post-meridium Krzysiek leaves tomorrow at 2 post-meridium. He has some kind of trip. So there's not much time left. And what worries me the most is the shaft. The universal joint on the shaft is damaged. There's play in it. It's Thursday. A week until departure. And we'll see if any company can actually handle it. But honestly, I also wanted to do an hour-long test. If the car works, has power, and if Spoma is back. And without the shaft, well, we can't do anything. So, it's a tough decision. Whether we send it somewhere now, and honestly, maybe someone will fix it for us by Wednesday. Or do we leave it and do a test on Monday, and only then do we send it out for a day to get fixed? So, it's a mess. Well, we'll see what we can do. Listen, it's midnight. Here we finished fastening the cables to the sensor. All of these sensors, cables, everything. I don't even remember or think about it anymore. I just kept saying what we were doing. Here the hose is already installed. The new clutch slave cylinder is being installed. It's already in, so Krzysiek is tightening it. We'll bleed it, and we'll leave the exhaust for tomorrow. I still don't know if we'll put the shaft in, because we want to connect the power first. Turn on the ignition, check if everything works properly. Start the car once we finish assembling the oil pan, because we ran out of silicone, rain the entire lower oil pan. We'll connect the post-meridium, check if it works, and start the car. If it does, everything will be fine. We'll put the shaft in for a test drive to check if the car is under load, if it's being loaded. Under load, if the car is being loaded, and if it's generating the correct boost, which should be 1.6 ultimately. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everything will work. And in half an hour, we're heading home to sleep. Yo. All right, hey, it's Friday. Listen. Krzysiek already posted. Because the silicone for the lower bowl arrived. The silicone is curing right now. It's drying. We have about an hour. In the meantime, I connected everything inside. The accessory dwelling unit, the post-meridium, and so on. I did a test. Regarding the power steering, because I turned on the power steering, we dropped the car to the ground. I turned the steering wheel. And, unfortunately, the problem is still there. That when I turn the steering wheel with the engine off. Because there's an electric pump here, well then the fuel pumps turn on. And on the screen we can see the engine revolutions per minute. Unfortunately, there's still a problem. They're connecting to the basic sensors, like I mentioned before. Crankshaft and camshaft sensors. Plus the things that were lighting up for us. So, MAC and Fuel Flex. That's still a problem. And now we're going to work on the ground from black. We're looking for where it's connected. We found it preliminarily. We just need to check if that's the one. It's on the exhaust side. It looks like it. This is the bolt. 2 nuts and a cable. On the exhaust side, this is the ground cable. The one I just showed. And this is the structure that was holding it. And it was holding it on bonus stuff. Ha ha ha. And generally, this ground connection could have been weak because the contact point wasn't tightened properly. I literally unscrewed it with my finger. So that's how it is. As you can see, look how many grounds are going here. So this spot really might not have worked very well. All right, I sat in the car because I fixed what Gregor's told me to, meaning the grounds and so on, and right now I'm consulting with Gregors about what we do next. And now Gregors will explain what the situation looks like at this moment and what our plan of action is. So, Gregors, if you could speak.
Alright, so, since we've sorted out what we could with the grounds, you've done the ground to the water, the ground to the engine. Now check the ground from the EMU harness at the eyelet, make sure no wire is broken, strip it there, move the ground to the cylinder head so it's a good clean ground. If it works, that's great. If we still don't get the expected result, we'll try to save it by adjusting the settings in the arms.
The thing is, we're still getting interference on the harness, which means that even when the car isn't running, if I turn the steering wheel with the power steering, things like the fuel pumps, fans, and so on turn on, just like I mentioned earlier. And the worst part is, at that moment, it's dumping fuel into the engine, which also thins out the oil. And now, when changing the oil, unfortunately, the oil smelled strongly of alcohol, so that's not good either. So, just like Rizeku said, now I'll check the main ground connection that goes to the EMU, PEMU, and the harness, and if that doesn't help, for now we'll try, as Rizeku suggested, to put on filters, and maybe they'll catch those interferences, because I've already replaced so many things. The harness, where Grechu told me to replace all shielded cables, like I've said, the crankshaft sensor, camshaft sensor, and the other components I mentioned. So listen, Grechu, thanks a lot for your help, and let's keep going.
Alright, let's keep going. Later we'll just connect remotely and check what we've managed to do.
Alright, so let's get to it. Alright, thanks, see you, bye. We're back at the call center with Gregors Konopaki. Kshiku, turn the steering wheel. Oh, can you hear that? Okay, show the RPMs. Oh, alright, stop. Stop! And you just saw it, we're turning the power steering, the steering wheel. And suddenly, the dash shows that we have RPMs, the engine floods with fuel, and it's a mess. Now, Gehehu is trying to put on those filters he just mentioned. Additionally, just a moment ago, we couldn't start the car, because as it turns out, the previous tuner switched things around. Could you professionally explain what he did, Gehehu?
The polarity on the crankshaft sensor was swapped. The crankshaft sensor was connected the other way around. The person who was tuning managed to handle it by reversing it in the software. However, the signal is still being disturbed if it's connected the wrong way. So theoretically the car starts and everything works, it's just that there is more interference.
Yeah, so interference, and more interference. Are we checking now or not? Yeah, we can check now. Go ahead, Krzyshu. Alright, now there's nothing. Now there's nothing. Listen, Grechu is a cat. He handles everything on his phone. It's honestly shocking. No, not that it's over the phone, but that he actually works on his phone with any desk and fixes, listen, the electrical wiring through his phone. Alright, listen, my GoPro battery is about to die. We'll probably start it up in a moment. Everything will be fine, because Grzehu will start it, and then when he changes the battery, we'll keep going. And now I'll show you that. What Grzehu did works. We're turning on the pump. We're turning it on. You saw the RPMs don't spike. The pumps stay off. So that's a cat, again, cat. All right, as you can hear yourselves, the car is working now. Grzehu has taken care of everything for now. There's no longer that problem with the power steering, where other components would turn on. So we'll see if the interference doesn't get worse and the problem doesn't come back, because during the competition, it was the same. Grzehu installed filters, and unfortunately, the problem came back. There's some huge hornet flying around here. Those problems came back again, but now we've skipped a lot of other shielded cables, so we'll see how the situation looks. We're checking the clutch because something is making noise in the clutch, and we hope that today we'll still be able to test the car properly. All right, like I said, Grzechu already took care of it, and he even changed the rev limiter so much that listen, Grzeku didn't even tell me he changed it. And here I am flooring it all the way to the limiter. When I hit the gas and it banged, I actually jumped and hit my head on the roof of the car. So listen, we're taking the car, going to a closed lot to test it, load it up, do some logs, and we'll see. I hope everything will be fine. So we're loading up the car. We'll test it on the trailer and drive 10 kilometers further. Alright, here's the situation. At first, I went out, did the first log, and the car was running super rich. No idea why. The map got messed up again, so Grzeku made some adjustments and reduced the fuel. It was running less rich, but still rich. He reduced it again. Same thing happened. Reduced it once more. And I said, man, I've reduced it so much, it should be running lean by now. But the car is still running rich. And then the same thing that happened at the competition started again. With each run, it was boosting less and less. The turbo was barely spooling. So right now, the situation is really bad. We loaded it up. We loaded the car onto the trailer. It's Friday, and there's less than a week left before we leave for the competition. Now it's the weekend. We can't do anything more. We still have the drive shaft to take care of. We still have the drive shaft and need to finish it. And what? I'll beg Wojtek Sposób to agree so we can go to his dyno. And Grzeku said that we need to make a whole new map from scratch. A new tune, because the previous tune was really just a retune. Because the cables in the crankshaft sensor were swapped, and Grzeku couldn't upload his base map, Grzeku decided that now we'll make the whole map from scratch, his map from the very beginning, and we'll tune the car and then keep thinking, but there's less and less time. Well, we'll see how we manage to handle all of this now. A few seconds later, so I'm going to drive around here looking for a stretch of road where there's still some signal, just to tune it again from scratch, and then see after tuning if the boost is still dropping, what's going on. Because the situation isn't looking good, and the worst part is that tomorrow is Saturday, and we have the SD round. In the virtual competition, which I also have to take part in, because I'm representing my partners, whom I warmly greet, Intracars, Castrol, and everyone else as well.
2 hours later.
Unfortunately, I talked to the manager of the facility, and he said he's really fed up with drifters because they used to come here, drift between the planes, and thanks to idiots like that, we've lost this spot in the Greater Poland region. There's one more option that Krzysiek suggested. We're calling the manager of another area. There's a piece of abandoned road there. Maybe it'll work out. That's 30 kilometers further. And this time, I'm going 40 kilometers back to Krzysiek. So we're fighting. We're fighting. We're going to take them to this new spot now, because I'm going to check out what it looks like. 7 kilometers on roads like these. I'll tell you what's going on here. A little off-road. What a Nissan, seriously. But at least I'm driving through the forests of Greater Poland. I'm exploring nature. It's beautiful, beautiful trees. Birds are probably chirping outside the window. I'm testing my BMW with xDrive. It's nice. Life is good. Oh God, it's saying to turn here. On the navigation, if I had known these roads were like this, I would have chosen a different route. Around. I don't know where the navigation is taking me, and I still have almost 7 kilometers left. With every turn and new road I take, it only gets worse. What's going on here? Jesus Christ! Whoa! Whoa! Poultry farms, listen. I found a nice access road on the way. Look how long, straight, and nice it is. Ma'am, no problem. We agree. Whoa! The trip's saved. Everything's great. Then I say it's going to be loud, but no, because the chickens die, you know. It can't be done. Even storms make them go crazy in cages and die. Look, I'm going to keep searching for something because the spot I mentioned earlier is unfortunately completely unsuitable for this, so I'm going to keep searching for something.
A few moments later.
All right, we've got Crankshaft. We're going to check the 76th place to see if they'll let us in. More roads. I don't know what you have here near Woolston. These are expressways. Like that. This dirt road usually has fewer potholes than the better one. That asphalt road nearly damaged our rims, which is why I turned on the GoPro. So we're heading to the 84th company. Maybe someone will take pity on us, and there will be a stretch of straight road where we can push the 3rd gear. Let's go! Prevents yesterday. Crankshaft knows the owner, but the owner can't be reached. Actually, he has the owner's son's number because he used to drift at this company, so we've got some connections there. But listen, don't mess around anywhere. Don't burn rubber with your cars in forbidden places, because unfortunately, we're ruining our reputation. And we're being associated with troublemakers who burn rubber in one spot, set cars on fire, and we're not being received positively by the community. So, remember that. All right, we did it, the owner agreed. Now we're going back 30 kilometers again to get the car. Jehu is already calling, annoyed. Hello?
Did you check if there's reception at that spot?
Is there reception? Yes, definitely.
If there's reception, that's fine. We'll handle it there since he can't get online. Someone keeps disconnecting him. There's no point in waiting here for half an hour if he's not going to do it. Load the car onto the tow truck and I'll handle it there. By that time, I might already be back.
All right, so how much time do you need?
I think about an hour. All right, thank you. And I just have a bit of chopping left. Well, I need to go say a few words to the guest.
All right, all right.
Wait, someone's knocking, maybe already?
No, all right. All right, the time. Well, you've already made it to an hour and a half. Makes sense, damn. Nerves, stress, just a nightmare.
2,000 years later.
And here we are. Kegble Max provided the place to us. So, thank you very much. Here we have our simple one. A simple starting one. And we're slowly starting to make it work. All right, I should go. All right. I got an order from Crankshaft to go again. Log it. That's how we're tuning the car. And maybe we'll fine-tune everything with the methods. We'll see how it all turns out. Wow, finally made it. Something positive after so many days. That's right, I doubted anything positive would happen today and thought I'd leave disappointed. Gzeku is awesome. If anyone talks about Gzeku, they'll answer to me. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I'm at a loss for words. The boost isn't dropping. For the first time in a few weeks, the boost isn't dropping. Now that the map has been made from scratch by Gzek, everything started working. It started responding positively and well to adjustments, whether it's fuel, boost, or ignition. It gradually started working as it should. We'll see about the wiring, but we won't have time to replace it all, and we might not get to it this season. At this moment, we'll still be taking out the shaft during the rides, because I'm taking it with me in the trunk to Gdansk, and starting Monday I'll be working on getting it rebuilt. And on Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to Sposobi, Nahamonia. And unfortunately, there's still a problem with the steering. The wheel locks up when turning and... Well, it is what it is. But at least there's one positive thing. Maybe we'll still manage to fix the steering. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, hoping it'll finally work out. Sunshine behind the dark clouds. And with that, I'm wrapping up my trip to Wolstein to Krisha's side-to-side garage. Now I'm adding some shots of us about to take out the drive shaft. And I'm heading back home to my family, who already miss me, and I miss them a lot too. I'll stop talking now. Take care. Now I want to explain to you why Nissan and not BMW. First of all, the BMW body went through a lot of seasons with Paweł Korpolinski. In one season, it could do the equivalent of several seasons because he competed in different leagues all over Europe. Thanks to that, he won about 50 trophies with this car himself, which shows you how many competition cycles it went through. It was a lot. Additionally, the engine also needed an overhaul after a few seasons, taking it apart, putting it back together with new bearings, and checking if everything was okay. And the gearbox also needed an overhaul. It had to be sent to Sweden, and the gearbox itself cost 70,000 zlotys. I was also afraid it might break, and such a cost is really a nail in the coffin. I was planning to do it, but in the meantime, an offer to buy a Nissan came up. And now, the person who serviced this Nissan assured me that the car was running. It didn't break down, and you could really just get in and drive it with amazing Öhlins suspension. Awesome body, my dream. Nissan S14. Winters, the only thing it didn't have was a sequential gearbox, and if I did the math, I could trade, I could make an exchange for about the same money. so I decided to take the Nissan, which was already prepared for the season and ready to drive. And here is my big mistake, I admit it openly, because I trusted the person who serviced it. I didn't check the car properly, like I should have. That's my mistake, and my personal failure, which you saw yourselves in my episodes, what was happening, and the worst part is that the person who recommended this car and serviced it. Well, she told the former owner that I took this car and broke it, because I don't know anything about servicing, blah. But the truth is completely different, because I even have logs, since the logs stayed in the data logger. When I picked up the car, and you saw that episode, by the way, picking up the car at Swampson, it was already only boosting 1 bar at most, not 1.8 bar like it should have. So they were already faulty from the beginning, and I also wanted to take the car to the dyno before picking it up. But there were problems there too. And now that I've connected all the dots, well, I know why the person who serviced this car was reluctant to go to the dyno and check the car. I simply trusted, got burned, and I'm taking it on the chin. My mistake, because I should have checked it properly and made sure of certain things myself. I'm dealing with the consequences, but I'm not quitting. As you see, I'm still fighting with this car, and I know that I'll reach a point where it will run reliably and I'll be happy, because I know. The Nissan handles better than the BMW, and it looks 10 times nicer and makes a better impression on my partners. So that's the explanation for why things happen this way and not differently. We keep fighting. New episodes about the preparations and modernization of the Nissan are coming soon, so stay tuned.